Hey everyone, I've been wanting to talk more about the game a bit on the second channel and get some discussion topics done. So if you want to suggest any, let me know. I'm going to upload this one pretty quickly after recording it, so I'm definitely open to take some suggestions. That being said, today I want to do a pretty brief one. I'm not sure how long this is going to be, but it's something I hear about a good bit, and I think it's kind of interesting to talk about. It's just one of those conversations that the scene has had over and over, but it's become a little bit more relevant recently, I think. So, for those of you who are out of the loop, before the NA League completely wrapped up, there was a few top players talking on Twitter about the quote, great retirement, which was just talk that a few players would be retiring from competitive play, some of our top players, or would be less active going forward. Now, some of this has already happened. Milky Way seems to be on break for a while, though I don't really know if I buy them being done with the game. But the most notable example has probably been FT Win, with Kyo and Sam both officially stepping down, at least for a period of time. And it seems unlikely that that team will be competing anymore after the league. In addition to that, there's a bunch of other names that would be hard to keep up with over time. If you remember Hypnos from my Dreadringer videos quite a while back, he's also stepped down officially, and I guess technically even I fall into this. It definitely wasn't anywhere near as many players as people expected it to be, and, only time will tell who actually stays retired and who doesn't. But I think it has been fair to say that over the past year or so, there have been a good amount of top players, especially those that have been around through the S2 era, that have either stepped back or completely stepped down. And so, alongside that, I've seen a few people mention the idea that top level will be worse now, or that we're going to have this gap period where we're going to have top level play, like the quality of it, go down or something like that. I think that some of this discussion happened when people expected it to be more widespread, because I'm going to humor this argument as if it was about PXG, Milky Way, FT Win, like everyone stepping down, which isn't actually what happened in the first place. So I think teams like PXG, Milky Way, and well, Moonlight's done better recently. I think it's fair to put them at a similar caliber at this point. Are all still going to hold the mantle pretty well. But let's pretend that all of them suddenly did just fall off the plate, like fall off a cliffside or something, and we just suddenly don't have any top teams. Does that mean top level play would suddenly be way worse for a long time? I still don't think so. Now, I feel like there's a phenomenon that's a little bit hard to track, but is very clearly exists, and that is the general improvement of the scene. I've said before that if you take a player and you check, if you take a top player and have him watch back a tournament from 2 years ago or something along that side, or really any player who actively competes and have them watch gameplay of themselves 2 years ago, you'll probably notice a lot of differences or things to criticize. I have recently been editing one of Moonlight's older tournament runs. Not even that much older than where we are right now, like just about 6 months ago. Really nothing crazy. But even from looking back at that video, that short a time frame, it feels incredible just how different Moonlight looks in this video in, the full matches that I'm going through from everyone's point of view than they look today. And that's a time span of just 6 months. That's pretty short. And in fact, this even happens outside of competitive play. Some of you might know that in Anarchy Series, you lose a rank at the end of every single season. This is called rank decay, and it's a thing in a lot of shooters. It is also why I am in S rank right now, as you can see. Right now, I have X rank. What rank decay is, it is a system in ladder to take players who are inactive or not actively climbing and gradually moving them down ranks. And the reason this exists is what C rank or B rank or any rank was a year or two ago will not be the same as what the rank is now. So even if it might seem annoying to have to get your rank back, I think it's actually pretty important that you have to prove that you still belong in a certain rank after a period of time. I think that's a totally fair thing. And that's going to eventually cycle me back to this topic. Realistically, and it might sound like a crazy claim to say, but our high level teams probably match about where our best top level teams were a few years ago. That's just how the scene has progressed over time. Of course, exacts are going to be, unknown to say the least. I can't definitively make any claims on this. But what I'm getting at here is I feel like when everyone is going against each other and competing against each other for so long, it's hard to remember that everyone is constantly making progress. It's difficult to measure because you can see it as the same teams fighting each other over and over again, but these same teams that have had year-long rivalries with each other have gotten significantly stronger than where those rivalries were a year ago, even if the dynamic between those two teams hasn't changed. That's especially hard to see at top level. And so, if some of these top level teams or players stop playing for a while and come back 6 months or a year later or something, they're going to have fallen behind compared to where the rest of the scene is. Obviously, with a lot of these players having the experience that they do, it's not unlikely that some of them could catch up or get better quickly. I have no idea how active Hexen has been in the past, like, 5 years or so, since he started playing for FT Win again, but it didn't really take him much to get to the level of the rest of the team. That said, there's also plenty of stories of players who were higher level before coming back and struggling to get to the point where they used to be in the past. It does kind of vary from person to person. But what I'm going to say is basically if you think that whatever level our best teams are at right now won't ever be reached, people are already climbing there right now. The reason the gap stays wide is because those teams are also actively playing and maintaining the distance they have built. In order to improve to beat them, you have to not just keep up with the improvement everyone else is doing, but improve further to pass them. So I get this was kind of unscripted, but I hope the point has been made clear. The scene is constantly getting better. The idea that a certain top level of play will just degrade over time because of some players retiring might be true in the extreme short term, maybe over the course of a few months or maybe half a year, but it's not going to last very long, especially not as long as you might think. And again, this situation with the great retirement isn't even that. This isn't even every single one of our best teams disappearing and going back to a bunch of pickups like we had last year. We still have most of our top level teams active, and I think throughout the NA League and second half of this season, quite a lot of teams have made progress. I wouldn't be surprised if we look back at this at the end of 2026 and see a bunch of teams right now that are at that higher level and making play more interesting. We'll have to see, of course, and I don't know what'll happen, to say the least. But I think this should be pretty clear on why that's my stance on it. So, yeah, I get where a lot of the concern comes from, but this really isn't a cycle that's new. It's happened before, and it'll probably happen again at some point. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this topic. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you all next time.